everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube and Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channels. Obviously, this is Pro Wrestling Logic. We've got over 2,100 of these available for your listening pleasure variety of topics. Anyway, this is the January 31st, 1993 edition of the Wrestling Challenge Review Series. This includes interviews from superstars with the world champion Bret Hart and Jim Duggan and Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji. Obviously, Yoko and Fuji accept Jim Duggan's challenge at the end of the show. Also featured comments from Lex Luger, who said, comparing himself to Mr. Perfect is like comparing ice cream to horse manure. Famous Bobby Heenan line kind of reused, including footage also from the Royal Rumble the week before, Giant Gonzalez attacking The Undertaker, setting up their feud. Also, just kind of putting that in perspective, Bret Hart now is going to end up facing, obviously, Yokozuna coming up at WrestleMania 9, as per winning the Royal Rumble would indicate. Anyway, Bam Bam Bigelow facing off against Jim Hunter. Bigelow gets a win with a diving headbutt off the top rope, 142. Obviously a very one-sided match, not anything to be surprised about there. And, you kind of get to the place where you begin to understand that these squash matches, for a lot of people, are kind of, weak or not enjoyable. But at the same time, they do serve a very, I don't know that I'd say unique purpose, but they're there for the reason of trying to get people to pay attention. Also, highlights or footage, still photos actually shown from the Royal Rumble with Bret Hart getting the victory over Razor Ramon. Again, that Mr. Hunter against Bigelow match, very one-sided. Hunter must not have done very well, as I don't remember seeing him in that many enhancement matches, but some weak shots on Bigelow. Bigelow also manages to hit a kind of almost jackhammer, falling vertical suplex, and goes to the top rope and hits a splash. Bret Hart says that he is not the least bit worried about Yokozuna. He's happy that he had defeated Razor Ramon, and he is ready for any and all challengers coming forward. Skinner comes back to the area against an enhancement talent, and Skinner, of course, coming into the area late 92 or late 91, kind of into throughout 92, he's here, and Skinner, not going to be have that much trouble with Dave Segulo. Also, still bringing the alligator paw to the ring with him. I don't think PETA would allow that today, but that's a much different time back in 1993. Skinner hits a couple of punches, kicks, and ultimately an inverted DDT to gain the victory in 2.5 minutes over his adversary. Obviously a one-sided match, even tossing him to the outside at one point. We again get hype for the Super Bowl party on this particular day at 1 p.m. The Undertaker also talking about taking on Razor Ramon in upcoming matches, and Shawn Michaels talks about taking on the Big Boss Man coming up at local house show matches for the Intercontinental Championship. Sherry Martel going to be part of that. Michaels certainly saying that he does not intend to relinquish the Intercontinental Championship, which he does not do. Kamala, now managed by the Reverend Slick. Slick actually legitimately a reverend, so interesting all those years that he was playing a adult entertainment organizer, for lack of a better term. He was actually a minister during that time. Anyway, Kamala with Slick defeats James Santos, 247 with a splash to the back, and then flips him over. Kamala, very basic match, punch kick, back kick, does a leapfrog once, and the splash. Obviously, it's very clear that Kamala, as a babyface, is meant to target children. Not going to get a whole lot there from that run, but there is a Coliseum video where Kamala learns to bowl that if you've never seen it, search it out on YouTube or other places, and you're going to be quite amused for all the wrong reasons, I would suspect. Anyway, we move forward, and Kamala, again, does get the victory, has some difficulty in rolling his man over. Lex Luger complains about the actions of a guy like Mr. Perfect, among others. Bobby Heenan, of course, still supporting Luger, the last guy that Heenan actually does any sort of endorsement for going to the complete run of manager. going forward from there. Anyway, we will be right back. I gotta grab my phone. And again, you move into the, Money Inc. versus uh, Robert Taylor and Jerry Scrubs. Money Inc. at the time tag team champions, certainly a decent team there. Obviously, as tag team champions and picking the belts up early in late in '92. Certainly that's there. And right after the Royal Rumble, not much for them to do. 238. Stevens gets hit with clothesline and an elbow drop. Rather uneventful match for Money Incorporated, but it doesn't need to be eventful because it's a tag team squash match meant to get the champions and the championship on television. That's the main idea. Then we go to another in the series of matches here. Marty Jannetty with Sensational Sherry pinning Mike Williams 246 with the rocker dropper during the bout. Inset promo from Shawn Michaels, or from Sherry, where she said that Shawn Michaels would be she would wherever Shawn Michaels would be, she'd be there, and she's gonna be by Marty Jannetty's side. Marty, hip tosses, arm drags, and drop kicks, basic maneuvers by Jannetty. Jannetty at the time, if he had stayed clean, sober, and out of trouble, probably would have had a reasonably good life for himself. Also, there is a Tito Santana versus the Predator match, and Santana wins the match with the flying forearm. He's shown speaking about the Headlock on Hunger campaign at the Madison Square Garden live event series. Obviously, Santana, for so long, had been a major force in the area, and without a doubt, him endorsing the fans giving money, having been there since '84, it'll carry weight. And I think when you're doing major charitable events like that, you need baby faces who have the credibility with your fan base to carry the weight and do that type of stuff. It's not necessarily, some people would say it's uncomfortable or unnecessary or whatever, but the reality is, at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do to get people to pay attention. So Hacksaw Duggan's here. He's, cutting a promo about the eventual need to take out Yokozuna. Yokozuna accepting the challenge later in the program. The idea there, obviously, to get Yokozuna over and ready for the winning of the championship deal. The championship deal with Bret Hart, and as mentioned, Sensational Sherry with Marty Jannetty in that Mike Williams match. More plugging for Ico Pro, which is a failed experience. Obviously, the bodybuilders and the people in the bodybuilding dealer there. The Predator might be Ricky Hunter, although I don't really know. At this point, Santana doing the Matador gimmick, not really getting over to the level they expected it to. The idea that he, by late spring, early summer of 1992, was at least momentarily considered for the World Championship is a very bizarre thought to some people, but makes sense to others due to the loyalty of the company. I don't know that a Latin American star would have been the best champion unless he was transitional, just because I don't think the majority of the country in 1992 was ready to confront that. I also know I'm ready to confront grabbing my phone, so we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail with more action. And this is Doink the Clown and Bob East. Bob East, a relatively new enhancement talent at the time. Doink hits a couple drop kicks and gets under the skin. This is, of course, the original Doink, Matt Bourne. This is actually really good. Doink hitting some technical wrestling, mat wrestling, snap suplexes and other basic things. Also going to the top rope and hitting what ends up being the whoopee cushion. The better part of Doink at this point, hitting things like an enziguri, hitting things like the drop kick, a more complete wrestler, and the facial expressions phenomenal at the time. Then we kind of go to events that are promos. Kamala, You're a Man is Slick's main refrain going into an upcoming Boston Garden show. And we will go back to a more basic system. We'll be back with more right after this.